There is one building in New York that has never had to compete on trends, on newness, or on hype. Every US president, from Herbert Hoover to Barack Obama, walked through its doors. Queen Elizabeth II made it her one and only New York hotel stay. Cole Porter lived in his suite for 30 years, composing some of the most iconic songs ever written on a Steinway gifted to him by the hotel. And right now, for the first time in nearly a century, you can own a piece of it. But most people watching this are thinking about it the wrong way. This is not a luxury purchase. This is a capital strategy. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 3 things: the history that makes the building irreplaceable, the $2 billion transformation that makes it investable, and why, for the right buyer, this is one of the most defensible assets on Park Avenue. Let's get into it. My work is developer direct. I've walked these floors. And today, I want to share what I actually know about this building, not the marketing version, the investment version. Here is something most real estate agents won't tell you about the Waldorf. This building's value was never built through advertising. It was built through function. When it opened on Park Avenue in 1931, it was the tallest and largest hotel in the world, one of the greatest Art Deco investments of its era. But what made it truly extraordinary wasn't architecture. It was actually what happened inside. From the moment it opened, the building became the functional infrastructure for global power. Diplomats didn't just visit. Heads of state lived here, minimum stays of 6 months. That distinction matters. An asset that becomes embedded in a century of political, cultural, and financial history behaves completely differently from your ordinary real estate. Herbert Hoover lived in the towers for over 2 decades after leaving office. Grace Kelly and Prince Rainier III held their engagement party here. And Queen Elizabeth II, across all her visits to New York, spent her one and only hotel night within these walls. You're probably thinking, that's incredible history, but what does it have to do with buying real estate today? Everything, because an asset embedded in that kind of history doesn't trade frequently, does not chase trends, and does not need reinvention to stay relevant. I call this type of property a platform asset. It blends history, architecture, brand power, and long-term capital logic in a way that almost nothing else can replicate. Think of how you would evaluate a masterwork at auction. You're not analyzing the paint. You are analyzing proven cultural legitimacy, scarcity, historical validation. The Waldorf functions the same way. You're not buying square footage. You're buying validated history. And here is the structural reason that matters to investors. This building is a New York City landmark, exterior and interior. You cannot demolish it. You cannot redesign it freely. Any change must be surgical and respectful of history. That landmark protection, combined with $2 billion in gut renovation, creates irreplaceable replacement cost. There is no version of this building that could be built again today at any price. That scarcity is baked in. Now, here is what most people picture when they hear Waldorf renovation. Fresh paint, updated lobbies, a facelift. That is not what happened here. The Waldorf closed in March 2017. It remained closed for 8 years. Total cost, approximately $2 billion. One of the most expensive renovations in New York City history. And it wasn't cosmetic. This was a complete rebuild from the inside out. Full replacement of mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems. Landmark mandated restoration of every Art Deco detail. The architecture firm, Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill. Another example of their work is One World Trade Center. They're called when complexity is extreme and failure is not an option. Art collection curated by Simone de Bury, one of the world's most prominent voices in fine art. This team was assembled deliberately because trophy assets are built for longevity, not for what's fashionable this year. But that's not even the most important part of what happened here. The strategic decision embedded in this renovation was far bolder than the construction itself. When this building was acquired, the buyer understood something most people missed. The highest and best use of a landmarked Park Avenue city block was no longer 1,400 hotel rooms. It was a hybrid. So what emerged from those 8 years? Two completely distinct worlds under one legendary address. The hotel, 375 rooms and suites, dramatically larger than before, reopened in 2025 at the absolute top tier of luxury hospitality. The residences, 372 private condominiums, completely separate entrances, separate elevators. You're not living in a hotel. You're owning above institutional hospitality infrastructure, with every service, all the prestige, and none of the foot traffic. When you live in the Waldorf Astoria residences, your address is 305 Park Avenue. That alone is a statement. Residences range from studios to penthouses, starting at approximately 1.8 million, with the most exclusive homes well into the 8 figures. Interiors by Jean-Louis Deniot, soaring ceilings, custom finishes, Art Deco-inspired details designed to feel timeless rather than fashionable. The residential amenity suite is over 50,000 square feet on the 25th floor. A 25-meter indoor starlight pool with a skylight overlooking Park Avenue. Private wine storage with Gaggenau walls. And then there is something I find genuinely extraordinary. The Presidential Library, a private resident amenity created in direct partnership with the White House Historical Association. A curated collection of books and presidential artifacts, including one of JFK's personal rocking chairs. There is no other residential building in the world where you can say that. You also have a house account, signing privileges at hotel restaurants and venues, 24-hour in-room dining, a private porte cochere with valet on 50th Street, a 24-hour doorman entrance on Park Avenue. This is not hotel living. This is owning above institutional luxury, and the difference is everything. Now let me be direct about who this property works for and who it doesn't. The Waldorf Astoria Residences works for family offices, for global capital holders, for long-term investors whose primary question is capital preservation, not yield chasing, for buyers who want a Manhattan foothold that functions as a trophy asset and a legacy holding at the same time. It does not work for flippers. It does not work for highly leveraged buyers. And it does not work for anyone whose horizon is short. This is not a deal. It is an allocation. We covered 3 things today. The history that makes the building irreplaceable, the $2 billion transformation that makes it investable, and the capital logic that makes it a strategy, not just an address. If you are seriously considering the Waldorf and want to know exactly what's available right now, what the pricing looks like, and what developer access I can offer you before it hits public market, that conversation happens directly with me. I have access to the development team. I work with buyers globally. The process is seamless wherever you are. In order to reach out, you can use the link in the description or use the phone number here. Tell me what you're looking for. I'll tell you what I know. I'll see you there.